Hi, Clara. Thank you for this presentation. It's a pleasure to be with us and all the auditory. Despite this auditory is online, but it's a big opportunity to speak with us about this common objective that is the doctoral thesis. And if I can resolve some difficulties for you, is a pleasure for me. Okay. Um, Let me to share my screen. A moment, please. My presentation is in Canva. Uh, can you see my presentation at this moment? It's okay or no? Okay.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay. As Clara is tell you, my name is Andrés Felipe Giraldo Dávil, and I am doing an internship as an international professor. In addition to having defended my doctoral thesis last month at the Complutense University of Madrid. I currently work as a professor at the Faculty of Communication at the University of Medellin, Colombia, in the areas of corporate communication and public relations, which is the field to which my doctoral research line belongs. First of all, I want to thank the university for this, the University Complutense of Madrid, or Complutense University of Madrid, for this opportunity to address you this morning in the framework of the interinstitutional project, especially to my tutor Lisa Irene Haninen and Clara Sanchez as a student of this project called MILIEU. It is a real pleasure to be able to address to this group of doctoral students who belong to different disciplines where we can share some common experience, such as the fact of carry out scientific research. I want to talk about the useful of the Delphi methodology in scientific research, but first I would like to tell you that the city where I come from, which is Medellin, has the most important, is the second largest city in Colombia after Bogota, the capital. And this is important, my city is important because there is the most important companies, especially in sector such as manufacturing, foods, productions, and financial sector. It's a beautiful city, as you can see in this slide, and I invite you to visit San, visit in Google, and if you like to go to Medellin, it's a pleasure to receive you. It is my university. The University of Medellin had 7 decades of offering high qualification or quality education. The University of Medellin belongs to private sector, but its mission is to incorporate the young population into university education. Now, let's get into the matter. I like to speak about Delphi method. This method has been appropriate for the identification of a problem where there is little consensus of incomplete knowledge, thus offering a possible solution to the issue. The central objective is to reach a consensus among participants after applying various questionnaires in a process of period round, and has become a widely used technique for forecasting and decision making in various disciplines. The aim of the series of questionnaires is to achieve a consensus of opinion by allowing members to reconsider and re-rate their opinions regarding the items in the questionnaire. It's important, this objective, because it's a period of where a research sent to different questionnaires to in order to achieve a consensus of opinions about specific items. Is important in this methodology continuous dialogue with the experts in a subject, one specific subject. And in this methodology, you can to get some theoretical proposals with the informal dialogue with the experts. This methodology is a mixed tool with or between the practice and theoretical proposal. This is the principal objective. The difference between Delphi method with survey is that the Delphi method is based on the construction of opinions of experts in a discipline and suggests the trends that will influence the future of the subject matter. And the survey, or the opinion survey, is used to obtain random results from representative samples of the population. This is the principal difference between two methodology, but the Delphi method can carry out to the opinion survey. Both can be mixed. It's a good option. The characteristics features of the Delphi method. First of all, this methodology works like a snowball effect. Experts share common knowledge. It's important that the public who is studied share common knowledge in a specific area. The opinions seek answers to a theoretical problem that has been little addressed. This is a good option in the methodology because the opinions can to become in a theoretical proposals is a good resource. It seeks to theoretically define some practical professional practice. This combine or mix the theoretical and the practice, the practitioners in a specific discipline. The meeting between researcher and experts could be open, dynamic, validity, modifiable, legitimate, and repetitive. These are the most important adjectives of this methodology: repetitive, open, dynamic, validity, modifiable, and legitimate. The most important root is the legitimation of this methodology between the research and the expert can legitimate this methodology despite the several meetings between the principal research and your specific stakeholder. The Delphi must be anonymous. Also, I think that it's important to identify the names of the experience, the place of the work of all the members in the panel. But for the construction, in the doctoral thesis, you can use the anonymous for preserve the identify of the members. But I prefer to expose the profiles because it's important to know the numbers of the panel, the place of the works, who is the experience of the each member of the panel of experts. Delphi must be fast. The time to employ in this methodology is short because it can lost if I don't close this methodology rapidly. Delphi must be precise. Delphi must be adaptable. Delphi must be nimble, and Delphi must be recursive. Recursive because in every moment, a member of the panel of experts can leave the group. I must be recursive because I have to take a person who can replace a member who left the panel of experts in a first moment. Keep in mind that they identify and analyze the problem specifically. Identify and analyze the problem specifically. If the problem is identified, I can to get answers specifically of the panel of experts. This is important. Keep in mind this topic. The second, determine and identify the size of the panel of experts. Is I recommend that the panel of experts can be in a number of the 20, 25 experts. Develop a first questionnaire of the main objective of the research. Is the third topic. Develop a first questionnaire of the main objective of the research. Fourth topic is evaluate the first questionnaire and design a second one with more elements. The first questionnaire is simple, identify the problem specifically, and the second questionnaire can design with more elements as activities of the areas of studies, to seek some problems, evaluatory problems of the subject, or it's important the specific objective to construct in order to construct the second questionnaire. And finally, conduct a third round where the answers are concluded, compared, and corrected. I used 4 rounds, but in the Delphi methodology, is most pertinent to employ tier rounds, 3 rounds. Excuse me. Research. The researcher must do preparation of the must be preparation or preparate to the first questionnaire. Is the first round, and the experts answer the first questionnaire. The research is located in this part, and the researcher is the preparation of the first questionnaire, and the expert offering answers to the first questionnaire. Then the quantitative and qualitative analysis using statistical software, because the answers can be used to establish quantitative, but the qualitative can be used to employ the answers in the first questionnaire. It's a mix between quantitative and qualitative analysis. The second round, sharing the results of the first questionnaire and sending out the second instrument. In the third round, the statistical processing and establish a degree of consensus among the answers. The experts send a final round with approval or disapproval of the discussions and leave room for open comments. It's a mix between quantitative and qualitative analysis. This dynamic carry out in the theoretical proposals. The most important point in this part is that the first, second, and third round can arrive in the theoretical proposals. The theoretical proposals is a combine the practitioners and the theoretical. Is a good meeting between the research and the experts in a continuous dialogue in the construction, in the build to theoretical answers and the theoretical proposals between the practice of the panel of experts and the expertise in the research in this area of the problem. From my experience, how I applied it to my doctoral thesis, I select 20 experts, 10 from Latin American universities, and 10 professionals from the research sector. It's important in this point that you can see that I select 10 from academic sector or 10 professors with early experience, and 10 professionals from the research sector that with several years in this area in your professional experience. And I applied 4 rounds. The first and the third were quantitative. The second and fourth were qualitative. Some good mix. The Delphi analysis helped me to construct the research questions addresses to the companies analyzed, and the mix of academic and practitioner helped to build a theoretical framework from a Latin American perspective, because in the Delphi method is a good option for a subject that is not have a good theoretical perspective, or is a little employed in some region or some continent. The methodology, the Delphi methodology, help to this question. I employ for instrument. The first tool was to identify the research, and the focus is to find answer to the central objective of the research. In this section, I write the principal objective of my investigation, or the hypothetical construction. Is important to seek some keywords or some experience, or how the panel of experts analyze the central objective of my research. In the instrument, identify the research is important. The university, the name of the university, the title of my doctoral thesis, my number, the round, and the described principal hypothesis with the title of the investigation. These categories describe or identify the profile of each expert to make a follow-up contact with this expert. The enterprise, the profile into the factory, economic field of the organization. Is a multinational, in my case. It's a multinational of a small enterprise, or is a public entity, or the educational sector. A level of the expertise of this of a person, is a professional, was a master, was a doctor, and the email in order to establish continuous contact. It's important formal meeting with each expert to find the answer to the central objective of this of the research, and finally select keywords of or group of words to perform a first quantitative weight. In this answer, I can to make a possibility, or build a possibility that each expert can describe openly in order to seek a good groups of words that let me identify how each expert can construct the principal hypothesis despite your experience. In the instrument number 2, the same. Identify the research. It's important always to put into the instrument identify the research, because the instrument is sending to email. But the principal topic of in my instrument, in my second instrument, was describe a brief conclusion of round 1, because in this part I can to build a ranking of practical activities that both academics and professionals can carry out in their work practice. in my first conclusions, I put a ranking on different activities, and the professional and academics can carry out the practice, and they can put in order or importance. Is in this part, the most important is waiting to establish a ranking of the in order to importance to establish several trends in each area of study. My instrument number 3, the same, identify the research, establish a degree of consensus and analyze it statistically. The consensus is legitimate despite of analyze statistically. And finally, it's important propose a short explanation in order to carry out a quantitative analysis. In this instrument, who you can see, I combine the quantitative and qualitative topics. Finally, in my last instrument, the fourth instrument, the same, identify the research and establish theoretical proposals so that experts can relate them to the ranking of actions in the second round. In this part, I combine the second and the fourth instruments because I built theoretical proposals, and I send these theoretical proposals to all panel of experts, and I can to relate them with the ranking of actions that I use in the second round. So a mix in between the second and the fourth questionnaire, or the second and the fourth instruments. I will recommend it. I will recommend applying the Delphi method in 3 or 4 rounds. I will recommend the compositions of the expert panel is between 10 and 20 members. I will recommend engage experts from the outset because it may take time for them to respond. It's important engage all experts because an expert can be lost and it's difficult to came to contact him. Is important to make a continuous dialogue with each expert. Engage experts is the most important activity in Delphi panel because the expert is my stakeholder. The expert is my contact. The expert is a person who I can construct the theoretical framework. I will recommend send the instrument in Microsoft Word. This is important because if I send the instrument in Google tool, it can be synced with the informal, or the expert can consider that this is dangerous, or that consider that I hijacking is my email. It's important send the instruments in a formal method. in Microsoft Word, through my institutional mail, because this is legitimate, and to establish a contact, a near contact with each expert. Use the answers to open-ended questions to draw conclusions supported by bibliographic reference. Bibliographic reference can be used to mix it with the answers of the panel of experts. I will recommend, if the panel of experts is small, it might be considered as unrepresentative and not able to respond to the object of study. If the panel of experts is very large, it may be difficult to collect the information and bias the final result. With my reference, when I read my reference, the reference consider that a panel between 20 and 25 experts is ideal for application. Finally, I would like to make an exercise. If you consider that this methodology can be used for you, I would like to know the central objective of the research, and you can, as soon as possible, construct a panel of experts with 10 experts in your area of study. If you can decide this challenge, I would like to hear you, because it's important to make a dialogue with us in order to help you to use this methodology. This methodology is important in all scientific areas and can resolve some problems with the discipline is not be studies in a specific region or in a specific country, or is very short the research about this objective of the investigation. If you decide accept my challenge, I would like to make this exercise in a short time.
Okay, so following what Professor Giraldo said, I invite you now to summarize a bit your research of study and share it with us, as well as the panel of experts, as Professor Giraldo instructed, so we can actually have more of a practical workshop. So maybe we can give you 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes.
15 minutes is
Yeah.
adequate, yeah. This is the most important slide, because it's why between the research, the experts, the rounds can be used. If anybody question? Anybody question? Any question? You like to show the screen?
¿Podemos preguntar en castellano?
Yeah.
Sí, ya puedo traducir yo, no te preocupes.
Yeah. For example, tengo una duda sobre la cantidad de, encuestas o entrevistas, expertos. Entonces decía que mucho es difícil. O sea, it's impossible because cuesta, ¿no? Representa un costo de tiempo y dinero tener muchos entrevistados o muchos expertos, pero tener pocos tampoco significa que vaya a tener buenos resultados. Entonces, ¿cuál sería lo ideal? ¿Cómo se trabajaría allí?
Antes de contestar, voy a plantear tu pregunta, Olinda, ¿vale? Para que el resto de asistentes extranjeros pueda entender. Mrs. Ramos was asking about the ideal number of experts interviewed for the Delphi methodology. And now Mr. Girarldo is going to reply. I will try to translate the reply as best as I can, so we all can follow the explanation. Ya puedes.
¿Puedo contestar en español o en
Como
español?
tú quieras. Si puedo traducir, traduzco yo.
Perfecto, sí. ¿Quién me hizo la pregunta? Me gustaría pues identificarla. ¿Quién me la hace?
Olinda.
Olinda, ¿cómo estás? Un placer. Mira, en el método Delphi, ante todo en investigaciones en Estados Unidos, es donde más se usan, y en el campo de relaciones públicas y comunicación, que es el campo mío, es donde más se hace este tipo de metodologías, donde más se utiliza. Si quieres ahí, Clara.
The Delphi methodology is best used or more used in communication sphere or field.
Entonces, en este sentido, lo que se recomienda es que sea en un periodo de no más de 3 meses.
So in that sense, when you prepare this kind of methodology for your research, it's best to prepare it for a period of time that is not longer than 3 months.
I spent three months in this, for apply this methodology. En ese sentido también, entonces lo que recomiendan es que se haga no tan pequeño como 5 o 6 personas, sino que esté concentrado en 20 expertos o 50 incluso, hasta 50 se puede ir. Lo que pasa es que cuando pasa de 25 se puede convertir en algo inmanejable. Entonces, no se trata de que usted se preocupe porque sea una muestra, porque la muestra es para las encuestas las metodologías cuantitativas como la encuesta, la entrevista. En este caso, el Delphi no es una encuesta, no es una metodología que busque una muestra estadística, sino que lo importante en el Delphi es que tú tengas unos expertos, tanto académicos como en el ejercicio práctico, que te respondan tu objeto de estudio. Entonces, lo que se recomienda es 20 a 25 o hasta 50, pero 50 es inmanejable. Entonces, 20 puede ser más viable.
Professor Giraldo was stating that alongside what we discussed before about the field, the better field to explore this methodology with, he was explaining that it's best sometimes to focus the number of experts not on more of a survey kind of approach, not a qualitative sort of approach. In theory, the best option for this methodology in particular is having 20 experts, 20 to even 50 experts. The problem with having so much experts as to 50 is that sometimes the number of people you have to deal with, or the number of data you have to deal with is very extensive. So 20 is best. It is also, Professor Giraldo said that it's not only the number of people, because this is not a quantitative approach, but it's best to have a number of 20 people who are experts not only theoretically but also in a practical way to the field you're researching. So 20 people is best for this methodology, and taking into account that, again, this is more of how they can contribute to your research in a theoretical and practical approach.
I built a panel of experts with 15 members, and the next step was the first 20 experts then send my answers. I work with these experts. Cuando yo hice una lista de 50 expertos que yo tenía en mi base de datos porque he estado en algunas universidades de América Latina o conozco a profesionales en empresas, y entonces yo envié el instrumento a cada uno desde mi correo institucional, ¿ok? Pero los primeros 20 que me contestaron, con esos 20 yo trabajé.
I'm going to rephrase a little bit what Professor Giraldo said. He explained that originally what he did was using the contacts of people in academy and working field that he had, he sent this instrument of research to 50 people, but in the end he only worked with the 20 from the people that he sent the instrument to. He worked with the kind of first 20 people of those 50, so it's the best number to work with.
Y en este caso yo les escribía agradeciendo su respuesta y que si querían seguir trabajando conmigo 4 rondas. It's important to establish a compromise with each expert, because each expert is the principal resource in order to construct the theoretical proposal. Is not a survey opinion, is not a quantitative methodology, is a method where I can construct theoretical proposals despite the expertise of the long life of each expert in the field of the practice of the field of academic experience.
Using what Professor Giraldo just said, he explained before that what he did was to set the members involved with the message, inviting them in the first round to cooperate in the following 3 rounds that completed the 4-round period that he explained before in the presentation. So the important was not having a qualitative method, because it's not a qualitative method, but the important was to have the compromise to those participants that with the information that they were providing, the researcher, Mr. Giraldo in this case, was able to kind of produce a theoretical study using that knowledge that these people had.
Sí, lo más importante es que el análisis Delphi no es considerado un método cuantitativo ni cualitativo, es una mezcla de ambos. Entonces, digamos que para la construcción o para el constructo teórico, con 20 o 25 expertos es más que suficiente. Además, Olinda, en mi investigación, yo utilicé lo que recogí del Delphi, lo utilicé para después establecer la muestra con las empresas que posteriormente yo analicé. Entonces es un primer paso metodológico muy importante. A veces es el único, es el único.
Professor Giraldo is stating that because Delphi methodology is not is not a quantitative method. It's more of a hybrid method between quantitative and qualitative. What he did was to use it as a first step to create this theoretical construct, and also this first step was used to create this sample of companies and institutions that he later used in his research to create this kind of new academical knowledge that later became the thesis. I don't know if someone else has more questions, or we can jump into the exercise. Maybe.
Clara, I have a question
Right.
for the teacher. This is a technical question. I have already done my Delphi methodology. After done, I was talking with my thesis director, and she told me that maybe it is a good approach, not only including Moda and Mediana. It was some data I was adding to my Delphi, but it was good to add some dependent variables. But it is very difficult because my first iteration was 28, second wave was 25, and the final one is 20. But if I want to use dependent variables for the final one, I think I have so few people in order to analyze information, because it is 20 people. So I'd like to investigate age or specialization level, or I don't know, country, whatever. But it is so many people. It is not so many people in order to deeply analyze by using dependent variables. So at the end, I was talking with some statistics experts, and they told me that it was almost impossible and it was not useful to do a dependent variables analysis with only 20 people. But I'd like to hear your opinion.
In this case, the most important consideration of this methodology is that the director can to validate the construction of the panel of experts. If the director of the doctoral thesis suggests more than 25 to 30 or 40 members of the panel is dangerous, because it's possible that an expert can be lost. If I have a closed group between 15 to 20 to 25 experts, I can to work with this with this panel.
Andrés, let me interrupt you. She didn't force me to include quantitative analysis based on dependent variables. She didn't force me. She said the Delphi methodology is so well done that maybe you can reach cum laude if you add some quantitative variables. But at the end, it was not possible because I don't have enough sample to do it.
You can build and quantitative analyze despite of the Delphi method, because the Delphi method is used to quantitative and qualitative analysis. It's important to know this part.
Okay.
The theoretical proposal of the Delphi methodology is to construct a theoretical framework, right? But if your construction is quantitative, is well done, okay? But if you like to construct a qualitative analysis, it's important to establish open dialogue with each expert, because each expert is a stakeholder, is a principal stakeholder in your thesis, in your redaction, in your when you is reading the parts of the thesis. But if you decide that to build a doctoral thesis with Delphi, only with Delphi analysis, oriented to the quantitative analysis is perfect. I consider that it's perfect to only to focus in quantitative analysis with the panel of experts is perfect. I don't know
Okay.
if I respond this.
Clear. Can I do another one? I have time.
Yes.
Okay. The second one is I think is easier. I've seen during my thesis, I have made a very brief description of my let's say experts, my participants. Okay, for example, expert number one, expert on marketing, 25 years experience in whatever. But I have seen you have done a more complete template. It is needed to do this, or just with a brief description can be enough?
No, a simple description that's a note. I prefer to put the name, surname, job, ranking in your enterprise, years of experience. So I think that the highlight each expert is important, because each expert, the director of your thesis, can be that your panel of experts is important, is a good resource, is a good panel, is a legitimate panel. Okay. I prefer to identify precisely each expert. In addition, I think that the years of experience is the most important topic, because the years of experience of a professional in whatever fields of job is a good contribution for your construction, for your theoretical construction. The theoretics suggest that the Delphi must be anonymous. I think so. That is not important. When you read a paper for a journal or a scientific journal, it's important to describe each expert with a simple form. But in your doctoral thesis, it's important to describe wittily.
Professor Giraldo, in the comment section in the chat, they were asking if when you do the second round, which kind of tool would you advise to use as a kind of way of dealing with the second round results? If I translated correctly the question, which tool would you suggest to analyze the second round results?
Dice Bianca.
Yes, Bianca said that.
Which tool would you suggest to analyze the second round results? In my instrument or in my?
I assume, Bianca, please write down.
In Excel, in Microsoft Excel, or in Atlas T, in Atlas T software. I use Atlas T and Excel. Because Atlas T is useful to semantic cloud. In the semantic cloud, is a possibility to construct the keywords or phrases that construct the theoretical framework.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Excel is a node. I love Excel, but Atlas T is important to qualitative analysis.
I had never used Atlas T, but I will try it. Thank you so much.
But Excel is the most important for me, but Atlas T is the second option in qualitative analysis. But in my tool, I seek keywords. My keywords. Then with my keywords, I built a second instrument, and I made a ranking on activities that each expert can weight, can ponderate.
Okay, good. I thought that you would maybe have a hybrid tool where we could analyze both qualitative and quantitative, but actually we have to have two tools, two different tools.
I employed three methodologies. The first was Delphi method. Then I used the quantitative, and finally I used a qualitative, because my doctoral thesis has a problem, because I can't to identify the DIRCOMs of the principal enterprise. So I made a previous analysis with experts. When I analyze this my subject with experts, I can to speak with the DIRCOMs of the principal multinational corporations. It's important to mix 2 or 3 methodologies. Delphi method can be used only for the methodology in your thesis, if you consider. But in my case, Delphi method was my first step. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any question? Olinda, no sé si contesté tu pregunta. Olinda, ¿de dónde nos...?
Yeah. I have one question more. For example, in what kind of research do you use this kind of method?
Si quieres me la formulas en español también.
¿En qué tipo de investigaciones utilizas este método?
Te voy a poner aquí en... Voy a compartir. Share my screen, please.
I will translate the answer if it's best for Professor Giraldo to reply in Spanish. Do not worry for those who are abroad.
Clara, ahí ves mi slide, ¿sí?
Yeah. Se ve.
¿Se ve? Okay. Olinda, mira, este slide, si quieres, Clara, me ayudas a traducirlo. Este slide yo lo encontré cuando estaba haciendo mi estado del arte y ante todo buscando personas que hubiesen utilizado el análisis Delphi en mi campo de estudio, pero me encontré que en relaciones públicas un investigador en la Universidad de Florida puso en su tesis esta figura, ¿sí? En donde decía que no solamente en comunicación se utilizaba el Delphi, sino que se utilizaba en health, en architecture, design, arts, education, economy, in several sectors, ¿no? Entonces, fue grato saber que era un método que se estaba utilizando en el ámbito global por una razón muy sencilla, y es que a veces es difícil acudir a personas de empresas que yo estoy investigando. Entonces el método Delphi sale como un salvavidas para responder preguntas que no me pueden contestar personas muy difíciles de alcanzar, de lograr, difíciles de contactar. No sé, Clara, si me ayudas ahí a traducir.
Corrígeme si me falta alguna cosa, ¿vale?
Perfecto.
In the following slide that you are all watching, Professor Girarldo is sharing one kind of diagram that he found in a work by a Florida University professor, which shows that not only in communication that you can see here, Delphi method is actually useful. Delphi method is also useful in, I don't know, health regarding fields, maybe technology or science or art, because it helps to get to involve or to find participants that actually can reply or can answer some of your research questions, but that is very useful when the first people that you want to contact with, which are people from companies or other medium, are really hard to find. So you have to try and find experts, maybe not like very involved in companies or stuff like that, but this kind of more expert approach allows you to get the answers that you need.
Yeah, excellent. It's a good translate. Olinda, cuando tú tienes un problema y es que yo tengo una dificultad de conseguir a una muestra representativa de expertos en tecnología o expertos en economía, o si yo quiero analizar a un profesional dentro de una empresa y yo no tengo acceso fácil a ese tipo de públicos, yo puedo utilizar un panel de expertos con mis contactos, con mi gente más cercana, donde yo pueda entonces reemplazarlos. ¿Qué puede suceder? Puede suceder dos cosas. Uno, quedarme solo con el panel de expertos que yo mismo construí. O a partir de ese panel de expertos, yo puedo conseguirme una persona, no 20 del sector que estoy analizando, una persona que me ayude a hacer análisis cualitativo. Entonces ahí yo puedo analizar cuantitativo desde el Delphi y cualitativo con la entrevista a profundidad de un experto que yo quiero entrevistar a profundidad sobre el área de estudio. Entonces es un método que soluciona ese problema cuando tú no tienes acceso fácil a un grupo de profesionales que quieres preguntarles, ¿sí? Entonces ahí funciona bastante bien.
I'm going to try and summarize the reply as best as I can, but Professor Girarldo, what he said is that when you don't have a representative group big enough to actually be representative, you can use this methodology to, one, do the qualitative part of it, but also selecting people, for example, one people to do qualitative interviews, for example. So you have these two, balancing these two options to work. Can you rephrase a little bit more so I can expand on what you said? ¿Puedes explicarlo un poco más para que pueda completar lo que has comentado?
Sí, es muy bueno como metodología para resolver la dificultad más difícil que tiene uno a la hora de hacer una tesis, y es mi muestra. La muestra, si yo estoy analizando unas empresas, entonces yo quisiera analizar el perfil de esas empresas o un representante de cada empresa. Como es tan difícil acceder a ellos, en el caso mío, era difícil analizar 70 directores de comunicación, ¿sí? Entonces yo más bien construí mi Delphi, ¿sí? Y con ese Delphi ya después podía hacer entrevistas a unos pocos. Entonces ayuda mucho a resolver ese inconveniente metodológico, que es cuando a uno le dicen haga una muestra, ¿sí? Entonces cuando uno dice, bueno, yo quiero hacer esta muestra, ¿y de cuántos? Entonces, el Delphi no es un tema de muestreo, porque el Delphi es simplemente la construcción de mi propio grupo de expertos.
Vale. I'm going to. Great. What Professor Giraldo said is that when you have this task of doing a research and you want to interview or to get in contact with, for example, in his case, 7 people in the communication, like be responsible people for the communication in several companies, it's very hard to get to those 70 people. So what he did was to build up this Delphi methodology. So it's in a way of creating this tool so he could actually get enough people to actually help to understand this kind of communicative aspect or of these companies without getting in contact with all the previous members that he was considering, just a smaller amount of people, so he could actually develop the arguments that he was planning on.
It's a good resource with the my stakeholder is difficult to follow, to reach some answers. My own panel of experts help to resolve this inconvenience, this difficulty. Olinda, no sé si contesté tu pregunta.
Sí, yes, está bien. Gracias.
Perfecto.
If there's no more question, I was thinking that because we have more time to actually prepare the exercise, we could actually sit down and do it. Like, who is ready to share a little bit of the topic and think, and also share the experts, people who he or she thinks that it can be useful if you are developing a Delphi method.
The exercise is simple. The first step is to identify the objective of the investigation, the research. And the second, if you can construct a panel of experts with 10 members. Diana.
Sobre la práctica o el ejercicio, Andrés. Por ejemplo, yo estoy haciendo una tesis, pero basada en investigación cualitativa, y luego iba a entrar a una investigación cuantitativa. Estoy hablando sobre los efectos de la publicidad racional y emocional en la elección de la universidad, y mi grupo de estudios son los estudiantes universitarios. En este caso, si hablamos de método Delphi, podría ser una entrevista, bueno, se me ocurre, porque la verdad es la primera vez que he escuchado hablar de este tema, podrían ser los jefes de publicidad de las universidades públicas y privadas.
Correcto. Y los, profesionales también de publicidad. Una mezcla.
Bien.
Olinda, ¿me das permiso para traducir tu pregunta y la respuesta para el resto de...
Yes.
Vale.
You can.
Olinda was explaining her thesis topic, and her thesis topic is about how advertisement and influence, or how advertisement emotional and I don't remember the last word, sorry. How advertisement deals with selecting the university that you want to study in. So she was asking if, as a Delphi method, it was an option to interview the people responsible for the advertisement in public and private universities. And Professor Girarldo said as well that she could be interviewing people from advertisement in general. Take into account that Olinda research is also, if I understood correctly, part quantitative and qualitative as well. Olinda, I don't know if you want to add something that I'm missing or that I don't actually translate correctly.
No, I think that is correct. Thank you.
Incluso podría agregarle a Olinda, en este caso podría ser un instrumento inicial, un primer instrumento, donde bueno, construir primero el panel de expertos, ¿sí? Que pueden ser unos 30 y que sean 15 profesores, pueden ser profesores que tienen trabajo y van a la clase, o profesores de planta de una universidad, profesores que tienen solamente una función académica. Y 15 que sean profesionales de publicidad. Es muy importante porque tú vas a encontrar dos mundos totalmente distintos. Y después, ya cuando tú hagas ese panel, esa lista, puedes aplicar un primer instrumento que es que ellos respondan brevemente el objetivo central de la investigación. Y cuando ya tengas eso, tú evalúas y empiezas a hacer otro instrumento, incluso a partir de las respuestas encontradas en el primer instrumento, porque es un efecto bola de nieve. Y entonces el segundo instrumento todavía no lo tienes listo, porque lo vas a construir del objetivo principal y cómo respondieron. Y ya cuando tengas ese segundo instrumento, tú puedes construir un tercero donde le digas a ellos, ¿están de acuerdo con esto? Un sí y un no. Y una posibilidad de una respuesta corta, y ya. Y después ya entonces vas a la muestra, que es la de los estudiantes, ¿sí? Puede ser también, pero te puedes quedar en el método Delphi sin ningún problema.
Okay, I'm going to try and translate this.
Disculpa, Clara, tan larga la intervención.
No, I'm going to try to summarize it, but interrupt me or complete if I'm missing something. Professor Girarldo was completing what he previously said to Olinda in the sense of how to approach to this topic with the Delphi method. What he said was, okay, you can, before starting anything else, you can say, I'm going to interview 30 people in advertisement field. 15 can be professors that either work in the university and also on the private sector, or only in the university as professors. And the other 15 can be professionals of advertisement who work in companies. So with this divide of people, you can be a student in this case can have like a broader sense of how advertisement work in each section, in each sector. So the first approach is to create an instrument to first with a simple question regarding the main object of the study, let them answer one question. So with their result, like with a brief reply. With this brief reply, you can later create a second instrument to interview them a little bit further, and after that, when you have these two rounds done, you can either continue only with these members or interview as well the students. Complete if you feel.
In the first instrument, it's important that each member of the panel offer an answer that no more of 100 words.
A short answer then.
Yeah. Between 15, 60 or to between 60 to 100 words, because the answer can be extended because it's complicated to process these answers. I think that in the first instrument, very practice, short question, short answers. We did complete it. Then I can to construct the second instrument with the conclusion of the first instrument. Okay.
The second instrument. This is a question for me because I want to know more. The second instrument is based on interviewing directly, or it's another methodology in this case?
The instrument, all instruments could be must be sent by email, because I have to process all instruments in the Excel, and all instruments can be used for the redaction of the chapters in my doctoral thesis. All could be used to construct the body of the thesis. Okay. For this reason, as a research, I can't to make an informal interview.
Yeah.
All must be official instruments, because these instruments could be put into the body of the chapter of the thesis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand now.
I have a good remember in this moment, because a professor of an university in Lima, Peru, said me that the instruments were a good elements to in order to he likes to apply in your advanced investigation. I say take these instruments for your investigations. It's important. The knowledge is to be shared. It's not it's important to apply this in all universities on Latin America, because my subject is not widely researched. It's not widely investigated. Yeah.
Is there any other question or explanation that you want to add?
The second instrument is despite the first instrument. Okay. When I conclude the first instrument, I proceed to
it's following.
The
first one.
Yeah. Okay. Step by step.
It's all related. Okay.
Andrés, si tuviera una pregunta adicional, que bueno, no es tanto del método Delphi, sino de la investigación que estoy trabajando, no sé si te puedo enviar un correo, porque yo planteé hipótesis, y cuando planteé las hipótesis, empecé con las entrevistas y ya me di cuenta que la hipótesis es rechazada. Entonces dije, ¿y ahora? No puedo pasar a una investigación cuantitativa si la hipótesis se ha rechazado desde las entrevistas. Entonces, what can I do? In what way I can work? I try to do research questions and not hypotheses.
Any question can be sent by my email. Put the email in the chat of this meeting. Si tú puedes consultarme lo que quieras, son bienvenidas las consultas. Además, Olinda, porque estoy fresco, acabo de defender mi tesis. Entonces aprovecha que estoy muy recién defendida la tesis y me hicieron muchas observaciones frente a ese tema.
Professor Girarldo is stating that if at some point you have questions not only about Delphi, but related to research or to methodology in general, as Olinda just asked about what to do when your first step of interviewing people doesn't give you or doesn't give you the results you expected to follow the research, you can all email him at any moment. Right now, he will write down in the chat the email where you can find him. In theory, all of you can actually use the chat, so just write down.
Además, por una situación, Olinda, y es que cuando yo entregué la tesis a mi tutora, ella me solicitó que era muy bueno hacer un cuadro donde está las hipótesis o las preguntas de investigación, las hipótesis, en una columna las preguntas, en otra las hipótesis y en otra los instrumentos utilizados, y en una última si se cumple o no. No es malo que no se cumpla, no es malo, o sea, no es que la investigación no exista, no es malo, es una posibilidad. Lo importante es que tú puedas decir si se comprueba o no la hipótesis.
And Professor Giraldo was saying that following Olinda's question, Olinda was a little bit concerned that her hypotheses were not being kind of approved by the interviewing process that she was going through in the research. So what Professor Giraldo said is that when he submitted the research to his supervisor, first she advised him to create like this table or figure content where you can actually see first your kind of questions of the research, the hypothesis, the tools or methods used. The tools is a better word, and then the results. So this is if the hypothesis explained in the previous table, in the previous figure, were refuted or not. The important message that Professor Giraldo just said is that it doesn't is not compulsory for your hypothesis to be refuted positively in the sense that you were expecting. It's important that you have this clear way of presenting that maybe your hypotheses were not positively refuted. They can be wrong. They can be not what you expected, but you have to have a very clear kind of way of presenting all your work and the results and how they were connected with the original hypothesis.
I like to say that in this part, don't afraid to not confirm the hypothesis. Mm-hmm. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. The most important is that I can to show how to seek or to find or how I can explain these findings. Okay, mm-hmm. It's the most important. But if you like, Olinda, tú puedes escribirme al correo, okay? No problema.
Can you write down your email? I think we can finish the session here, unless you have more questions that you want us to address.
Thank you very much, Andrés, Clara.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure.
Sorry. if there's no any more question, this is the end of the first workshop of 2. For tomorrow, we will be discussing how to present your final thesis, your final results on your thesis. So it's at the same time as today, from 10 to 12. Kind of I think it's Madrid time, which is Central European springtime. But please, if there's any issue entering the session or something like that, you can write to me. You can contact us somehow, and I will try to fix it. We will try to fix it. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much, Professor Giraldo, to being here too.
Thanks so much, Clara, for this space, for this opportunity, for this collective construction is very important in order to reach the principal objective, that is to discover the principal research, the principal thesis. The thesis is a friend. The thesis is not my enemy. Okay, I understand, because I live this situation, but the Delphi method helped me to found 6 or findings or several conclusions. Okay. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.